now that I've seen every single Star Wars film, it is time to sit down and think about what is the best Star Wars film and what is the worst Star Wars film. Today I'll be ranking the Star Wars films, all 7 of them from best to worst. I'm going to start with the worst ones first and then work my way up to the best ones. So, the worst Star Wars film of all time is Star Wars Episode II, Attack of the Clones. Now when I sat down and thought about this, I thought, what is the worst one? Star Wars Episode II or Star Wars Episode I? Then I was reminded of the very bad relationship between Padme and Anakin, the cheesy dialogue from Anakin Skywalker, the poor setup for him, Hayden Christensen being a bad actor, a terrible CGI scenes throughout, and no build up to any relationship whatsoever with anybody in this film. And that's why I think it is the worst Star Wars film. Number 6 on the list is Star Wars Episode I, The Phantom Menace. Now Star Wars Episode I, The Phantom Menace is slightly better than Attack of the Clones. I do love the pod racing scenes. I do like the introduction to some of the characters that we've known and loved throughout the original trilogy, like C-3PO, R2-D2, Obi-Wan Kenobi. For that, I think I like this film a lot more than Attack of the Clones. Yes, the CGI is bad. Yes, the introduction to some of the characters are bad, but I like that they introduced them. I don't like the way that they introduced them per se. The dialogue is very bad. The story is boring as can be and very uninteresting, but I do like that we got to see some of the best movie characters of all time on screen. Coming in at number 5 is Star Wars Episode III, Revenge of the Sith. You've seen this pattern here, the prequels aren't that great. Star Wars Episode III, Revenge of the Sith was my favorite Star Wars film for the longest time. Then I sat down and watched it once again and I thought this was a pretty bad setup for Darth Vader. Hayden Christensen still did a bad job of portraying Anakin. He was very whiny at times. You had a very unneeded villain of General Grievous in here. The setup between Chancellor Palpatine and Anakin Skywalker was very rushed. There's not a lot of care to Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. A lot of things that they could have done a lot better. I do like the end fight scene. Alright, so all we have left is the original trilogy and the new film, Star Wars The Force Awakens. This is really hard because all 4 of these films I really love. And, sitting down and thinking about all these, I thought, what is the best one? Coming in at number 4 is Star Wars Episode VII, The Force Awakens. Now this is the newest Star Wars film of the Star Wars franchise, and what I really like about this is the introduction to a lot of new characters that we are going to know and love throughout this new trilogy. I thought they handled them really well. I thought there was a lot of reminiscing of the original trilogy with Han Solo, Chewbacca, Princess Leia. The lightsaber fights were more grittier than ever. It made me love that Star Wars is back and I'm excited for the new trilogy. But one thing I didn't really love about this film is that its pacing is very fast paced. There's no time to stop and think about things. This film is always going. It was good because you got a lot of great action, and it was also bad because it didn't explain a lot of things that they needed to do. And it was bad because they didn't explain a lot of things that they needed to explain that was important to the story. Coming in at number 3 is Star Wars Episode 6, I had to think about it for a second, Return of the Jedi. Now, Return of the Jedi is a little bit more childish than Empire Strikes Back and A New Hope, but I do love the confrontation between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker at the end, and Luke completing his training with Yoda, and the 3-part climax at the end was really fun to watch. One of my all-time favorite Star Wars scenes is when Darth Vader throws Darth Sidious off the ledge and you realize that he's actually good. He's realizing that who he is as a person, and seeing his son for the first time through his real eyes was truly an emotional scene. Coming in at number... where are we at? Alright, the second best Star Wars film is Empire Strikes Back. I really love Empire Strikes Back. It's more of a Titan story, a lot of more depth to the characters, really great action for its time, and it answered a lot of questions that we had for A New Hope. There's a lot more tension between the light side of the Force and the dark side of the Force, understanding what the Force actually means, and just building that character development for Luke, Leia, Han, and Darth Vader, the main characters in the story. We all feel a personal connection to them already because we loved A New Hope, and now The Empire Strikes Back is making sure that we once again understand these characters, love them, and strengthen them to be really great written characters. And the best Star Wars film of all time is Star Wars Episode IV, A New Hope. Now, A New Hope is a very simple film. It takes its time building up these characters, not rushing anything. We get this introduction to Luke Skywalker, and it builds up who he is as a person, his desire to get off Tatooine and join the Rebel Alliance. And it made sure that we cared about these characters. Everybody's different, everybody has all these different personalities, and I love all these characters in different ways because they're all so different and they're all so fun to watch on screen. And the way that they handle the characters is amazing because the way that they're written, the way that they're progressive development, we feel an instant connection to these characters. And I felt an instant connection to the storyline because it's simplicity, but yet doing everything right. So there you guys have it, is all the Star Wars films from worst to best. As you can tell, I didn't really care much for the prequels. 7 was a really great introduction that had some flaws, but still a really fun film, and I loved the original trilogy. So what do you guys think about the Star Wars films? What is your favorite? What is your least favorite? How would you rank them? This is Justin Watches Movies with his worst to best or best to worst, however you guys want to view it, to all 7 of the Star Wars films. This is Justin Watches Movies. Please remember to rate, subscribe, comment, and may the Force be with you.